Oh no, I'm chewing and I'm live. Hey everyone, I hope you are all doing fabulous. Let me do the requisite everyone post that I always do, and then we'll kind of get to it. This is going to be a multi topic lunch with Mal. I mean, they almost always are, right? But I couldn't think of anything that was like the topic. So I just went with, I got a lot on my mind because I do. Um, all right. Everyone post. Add everyone. Okay, I did actually think about getting Jill to do this for me, but she's on vacation today, so I can't. With Mel, is I'm going to say she's just going to unload. Is that clickbaity? I don't know. I guess it depends if you think that I unload or not. Oh, it's actually hilarious. I was playing the other day with exactly how extreme StreamYard's skin smoothing stuff can go, and yeah, it's a little bit cranked right now. Oh, it's not. That's not possible. I'm like so smoothed. I don't look this good. Why is it? What is going on? What does maximum look like then? I actually can't tell the difference. This is definitely full Barbie doll here. And then this is, I actually have some texture in my skin. Okay. What if I turn it off altogether? No, I guess I just look that good today. Thank you, Danica. I appreciate that. Here I am thinking that I look so good. This has to be AI smoothing out my skin. But as it turns out, it's not. It is funny, by the way. There's been much renewed hullabaloo about AI. And the funny thing is like skin smoothing, like any sort of like software that is tracking your face and dynamically smoothing out your skin and stuff like that and making you look better, or like that live makeup stuff. It's all AI. It's using the same machine, not the same machine learning, because it doesn't have to draw full bodies and stuff like that, but it's using a segment of the same machine learning that does everything else, that will power Midjourney or Stability AI or anything like that, because it's a computer live drawing a human face. That's, I think, what people don't quite realize. It is actually live drawing your face, and to do that, it's using machine learning. So, you know, it's kind of an interesting thing. There's so much stuff now. Like, I feel like we're actually like kind of like past the tipping point for AI. I'm using AI in air quotes, being everywhere. Um, and it's really funny too, because like back when Siri and all the other things came out, we actually like hoped that they would be like cool and useful, and we spent like a decade with them being marginally useful and definitely not cool. Um, we've gotten to the point where we can reliably tell them to like jot down a note or turn on a light or something like that. And the reason why a lot of those things were hung up for so long is they weren't even close to AI. They were just like, it was so scripted that every command had to be like pre-created. And the thing that we wanted all along was the thing that we now fear, which is kind of funny. And hey, Sithros, how are you doing? So we can wander off into that topic. I also have just some general 2024 thoughts on not like prognostication on the year, but just sort of like how I'm approaching it and what my thoughts are for the year. Um, and what I'm thinking for people, that authors I've been talking to and working with. And that's beyond the scope of direct sales, which I've talked about a lot recently, so I don't want to get into that too much. But I am curious, before we dive in too deeply, is there anything on anybody's mind right now, things that you're struggling with, plans that you have, things you're thinking about doing that you think are cool, or uncertainty that you're experiencing. Hmm. That is so true, Danica. That's basically how we go as us strange humans. We're like, that's not what I asked for. And you're like, let's check the transcript. Nope, that's exactly what you asked for. It's like technology is like the genie in the lamp, right? It's like, oh, you wanted an assistant that can interpret your words really easily and communicate back with you in a realistic manner. Guess what? We had to actually build an artificial intelligence to do that. Shocker. Um, how do we train said artificial intelligence? When all the non-artificial intelligence. Hey there, Emma Ward. How are you? Yeah, I only recently I've been doing these lunch with Mals for some time, and only recently did I start restreaming them to YouTube again. So I used to, like I mentioned before, used to stream all of my writing sprints on YouTube. So there's got a bunch of folks who used to hang out with me there, and now you can find me again. But it's only for like 45 minutes. Oh, hey Via, nice to see you today. So yeah, so no one has anything on their mind about the writing world, or even just like general thoughts on 2024, or like plans that you're making that you're uncertain about. I'm shocked. Shocked, I say. Um, yes, the chat could be distracting sometimes. I mean, I think it's been like what, like 2 years since I've done that. Time flies. Oh, congrats! That's awesome. The more launches, the better, right? I I'm nearly done my White Whale novel. I think I have one more climax to write, and then I'm gonna, because I wrote it over the course of 3 years, I've got to go through the whole thing with a fine tooth comb, and then probably read the first book in the series, and then go back over it with a fine tooth comb again, just to make sure that I've fulfilled all the promises that I made in the first book, or at least continued the progress of that promise. Because that's one of the things with writing. Um, everything we do in a book is a promise we're making to the reader. We show Chekhov's gun, um, or you show 50 Chekhov's guns. You better make sure you use all 50 of those Chekhov guns, or explain why some of them were red herrings. And that's what I've got to tackle with this next book, because I write. It's an unfortunately complex book, which is why it's been my White Whale. Let's see. Oof, migraines. 2023 was actually the year of me licking my migraines, which I'm pretty happy about, which mostly was diet, and stuff like that. So I'm glad that I'm there. 7 of 4. So 7 of 14. So 7 more to go, or 7 books out with 14. I could read that both ways. Sounds like a lot of work though, either way. So that's awesome. Nobody else has any plans for 2024. You guys are all just like, yeah, whatevs. I'm just gonna chill. I like it. Just like be relaxed. That's great. Um, I'm I'm gonna get 3 books out this year. 2 of them are already written. They just require one or possibly 2 more run throughs to make sure that they're all set. And then one is almost done being written, and we'll take one more run through. So I'm pretty stoked about that. And I'm also like reorganizing my schedule, and like I talked about last week about being more intentional with my free time, so I can feel more satisfied by the free time that I have for things. And actually, part of what I'm doing to create sort of more of an intentional division in my life is I'm actually segregating my gaming computer from my work computer. So I'm going to actually have 2 different machines and switch between them, so that, because I find that it's funny, I don't actually play games a lot, because to play games I have to like close down a lot of things I'm running, and then so I sort of just like waste time on my computer kind of doing nothing, which isn't as relaxing as like actually playing some of the games I want to play with other people. So um, that's one of the things I've been doing. All right, let's see. I'm not entirely sure who said this, but it's not showing up over here. But yay, next 3 or 4 in the Cozy Mystery series. I love that. And this is Judith. 3 books for 6-book Space Adventure series, write at least one more book, and consider publishing some other stuff too. That's awesome. That's a lot. That's going to be a busy year. I like that. Pinterest for marketing. I've always used Pinterest as like a supplemental marketing avenue. But I know it actually works well for some people, especially people who sell products. But when I was at 20 Books, the day that we had the signing, a woman walked up to me, and I should remember her name, but I don't at the moment. And she said that after taking my Pinterest class, she switched to only doing marketing on Pinterest, and it's working super well for her. She said she's doing better on Pinterest than she's ever done before on the other platform that she's marketed on. So I love that. Unless it was, I don't think it was you, Beverly. She's like, unless it was Beverly, but she was already doing it. And you said dive into, so I don't think so. And that's great. Yes, being more intentional, because it's so easy for us just to waste time on things and be like, where'd my day go? And be like, oh yeah, I just sat there and doom scrolled Facebook for 9 hours, or chatted on Discord, which I love chatting people in Discord, but sometimes I'm like, wow, I spent 3 hours chatting people in Discord, and I could have. It's nice to talk with people, but I could have actually done something productive and fulfilling in that time. Yes, that is a huge thing, especially when you work from home and or a small business owner. You get this feeling of like, if I'm not being productive, I'm doing things wrong. Um, so I love that about giving yourself permission to take free time. My main thing is come 5 o'clock at night, sometimes 6. I'm done working. I stop working at that point. And I might have my phone off and on, but if I do, I'm just quickly glancing at something because Jill's out and I'm expecting a message from her or something like that, or briefly chatting with a friend who works during the day. But chances are, like, I'm not online, I'm not on my phone or anything like that in the evening. I mean, I'll be online because I might be playing video games with Jill, but aside from that, I like to segregate that stuff, and that was a really big thing for me that I really got good at in the last year, of just not working in the evenings and on the weekends. I'll do some on the weekends, but by and large, weekends are for weekends. I once had this employee who worked for me, and I was crazy back then. I was working 70-hour weeks, and I kind of expected everybody under me to work that much too. Um, and I said, well, like, hey, could you get this done this weekend? And this one friend of mine, and he was actually a friend who also worked for me. He looks at me as like, it's like, Mal, weekends are for weekends. And I'm like, he's right. I am inflicting bad work habits on the people around me. So I took that message. Oh yeah, definitely is a good place for cozies, Beverly. Yes. Hey, Jill, you're here. Are you on the way to the airport, or I guess you can't because you're driving yourself to the airport. So are you just listening to me on the ride? Because you got to have ways up to get to the airport. Jill took a vacation to Florida. This is the second winter that she's done it because Jill gets seasonal affective. I mean, all 3 of us here get seasonal affective disorder, but I think Jill gets it the most. So she went to escape to St. Pete's and actually went to the Trade Winds, which from the sounds of it is even more decrepit than it was the last time I was there. Trade Winds is where the NINC conference is held, if you're not familiar. But it was cold and wet. So Jill went to Disney and had the time of her life this week, just solo Disneying it. I'm sure if you're friends with her, you've seen her posting all of the Disney fun that she's been having. And I'm a little bit of FOMO, little bit of FOMO, but also super happy that she got to go and just be Jill, just be her own person doing her own thing and not have to be wife or mom or anything like that, or business owner. Just get to be Jill and chill. I'm so glad she's coming home today because I miss her so much. So you're eating. Trade Wind sucks. I love it. Hey, Monique, how are you? I need my mail fixed too sometimes. What happens when I need a mail? I guess I get mail fixed all the time, don't I? I love this top, by the way. My sister-in-law got it for me for Christmas, and I hadn't worn it yet, but it's so comfy. I agree, Shannon. Following Jill's trip has been fun. Oops, that's the wrong person. I meant to say this. I've just, I've been doing it from afar as well. You drive safe, honey. when the time comes to drive, you can't be listening to me. You've got to have waves on and be paying attention. I'm sure she knows that. Although it's a pretty chill drive from Disney to the airport in Orlando. Once a quarter. Well, if you're coming once a quarter, I'm coming with you. Okay, that's good. Sorry, I am actually eating today during lunch with Mal because I'm hungry. Um, we've been doing other fun things lately, like our daughter Eva. We pulled her out of her school that she was in because she was having a lot of anxiety issues, and that was really weird. It like the page kicked back and like took me out of the studio. I'm back. Um, she wasn't really learning that much. Um, Partially because of just the format of the class and some other things that were going on. And she's homeschooling now, and we're using an online course thing, and she's doing so well. She's like, because so she started in January, but the system she's going through, it's a full year, so she's effectively kind of redoing part of grade 8. But she's also taking some more advanced classes because she was doing grade 9 and 10 math and stuff like that. And Jill told me today that Eva is on track to finish math in April, and it's a full year. She's going to do an entire school year of math in 4 months, which is pretty awesome. I'm super proud of her. So she's doing great, and she's being really chill. I like it. And so I was just thinking of that because I was glancing at my calendar, which is just on one of my other monitors. And tomorrow I'm teaching. Well, Eva's taking a world history course, and I'm also teaching her world history. So she has a world history class with me yesterday, or tomorrow, I mean, and she had it on Tuesday as well. So we're doing it twice a week, and I'm stoked about that. I like it. Um, let's see. We just drove from NOLA back to Florida. That's a stretch. No, Mardi Gras is not until next month. So you were just there chilling. I'll be in NOLA on the 26th for the Future of Publishing conference that Monica and Russell are running. Tried Pinterest once. I sucked some stuff on a board, and they sent me an email saying I violated terms and conditions, and they shut my account. I feel this only member for half an hour, and they could tell me what I did wrong. They said no, that was that. Never bothered again. They are strangely particular about copyrighted stuff, which is kind of funny because like everything on Pinterest, when you pin things, you're always pinning copyrighted stuff. I've been befuddled about their policies as well for some time. But yeah, I mean, if you're disgruntled with the platform, don't use it. But they can be weird, but they do work for some people. So definitely try it. Yeah, I like math too, and Eva likes math as well, and she's actually quite good at it. So I'm stoked. Oh, pardon me. I'm stoked that she's nailing it. It's going to come in really useful for her later in life to have a good understanding of math. Oh, that's really cool, Monique. I like that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Trying to avoid Pinterest because of wormhole. That's fair. That can absolutely happen. I know I have way too many interests. And I have to like be relatively good about like keeping them in check. But I've decided that this year I am actually taking my closet room and actually getting like gorgeous professional closets put into it, because right now it's just like stuff I put up temporarily, but I've been living with temporary closet stuff for like 2 years. I want nice closet stuff so I can keep my room in order. So I think some Pinteresting will be in my future as a result of that. But I think one of the things this year, to be honest, that I think is worth, if you can stand it, one of the things I think is worth tackling is book talk. TikTok is really driving so many sales for people. I see some people who have TikToks go viral enough that they're able to make like 4 figures off of individual TikToks going viral multiple times a month, like 2 or 3 times a month. Now, granted, they're doing videos every day, and they'll have 2 or 3 a month that will hit. But when you consider like an effort to return standpoint, it's actually pretty good. So I think it's Unfortunately, for those of you who hate it, it's something that can't be ignored. But another cool thing is that I think that TikTok's popularity is fading just a bit, and Instagram is picking up again. Um, so that's a really cool thing that I think is great. And also using TikTok and Instagram for videos helps you identify videos that will do really well, or just copy and hooks that will do really well on ads that you run on other platforms as well. So totally, I think that's going to be one of the things that we're going to have to continue to pay attention to this year. And I do really feel like short video ad content is the sort of thing that you can't ignore anymore. That you have to do it. Um, Maybe not have to do it, but you can't ignore the consistent success you can have with it. Um, and I guess if you decide not to do it, you have to sort of accept that you're probably missing out on some reach that you could have otherwise. But it's higher effort, but it's very low cost, which can definitely be great for a lot of people in different parts of their career. I would not be surprised, by the way, if Jill had um, a Pinterest board count like that. That would not surprise me. Oh yeah, I mean, but that's going to happen regardless, right? Like that's going to be a thing that will continue to happen regardless of whether or not you're there pushing your books. Um, this is also true of every other place that people promote things. So, I think um, avoiding something like book talk just because there's bad stuff there, it doesn't actually hurt book talk at all. It just hurts the person avoiding it. Um, you know, um, you don't actually have to really do hard video editing. BookBrush and Canva make it so easy to make video now, um, for these platforms, that it's almost a no-brainer. And a lot of the stuff that works really well is quite literally um, just a still image and then some text, like 15 seconds worth of text. So maybe three changes of text on the screen, and then that's it. Or sometimes it'll just be like a book being held up so you can't see the cover. And so it's like pages up, not spine up. And then at the end, you let go and you drop it, and it flops down. There's the cover, and you've had some text appearing during it. Um, Very few people who do book talk show themselves on camera, and interestingly, those ones don't seem to do as well. You can actually well, they many of them do, but on average, it seems like ones where there's actually no author on camera actually do better. Um, so you don't have to show yourself on camera, um, and you don't have to really do hard video editing either. It's literally like just copy and paste, like drag an image in, put the text in there, type in the text you want, export as a video, and you're done. It's not really video editing, which is kind of cool. I like that about it. Pardon me. um and Instagram on its own is actually still viable. I also don't really use TikTok that much, um just because I don't know. I used to do really well there, and I found that like my performance can be really lumpy on TikTok, where because they'll shadow ban you all the time if they for reasons that no one quite understands. But Instagram is much more consistent for me. I can get really good consistent video over video performance where every video will do well. Plus, if I don't want to do video that day, I can do a still image, and I can do that on Instagram, whereas I can't do that on TikTok. So I actually prefer Instagram as a platform, which is one of the reasons why I'm excited that it's kind of like, I wouldn't say it's got a resurgence going on, but I feel like TikTok has slowed and Instagram is getting more activity happening on it, which I'm very happy about. I think that's definitely a thing. Um, and I think that probably actually makes sense, because you might want to, if you can be more entertaining, um, in many ways rather than just like pushing books, you're going to attract more people. You're going to hold their interest longer. But a really interesting thing to keep in mind with doing stuff like book talk marketing or bookstagram marketing is you can leverage the power of this without actually ever making a video yourself. A lot of authors I'm working with now, when they have launches, part of their launch plan is to reach out to like 100 to 200 influencers, and you can do that yourself, or you can hire PR firms to do it for you. Um, and you can either get them digital copies or you can get them physical copies. I know someone who there's a couple people I work with whose books are still in the top 1,000. Um, in some cases, months after release, because they actually got a ton of digital copies, or sometimes even like 50 physical copies of a book into the hands of popular book talkers, and that drove their success. So there's angles you can play this whole um, influencer marketing thing where you don't actually have to make videos. It probably doesn't hurt to actually have your own account with a bit of a presence. So if anyone goes to check you out, they're not like, this person doesn't exist, they would actually see your account with your content, but it doesn't actually require you to go and produce a lot of videos yourself, which I think is something to really think about. And there's lots of Facebook groups where you can find information about that, or like, get people's thoughts on different PR firms or influencers and how well they worked. I think you do, Danica. I think that would make a ton of sense for you to do that. It's even if you just go digital, just the first time to kind of get the ball rolling. It's a power that cannot be ignored. Primarily if you're in genres like women's fiction, romance, paranormal romance, urban fantasy, romantic fantasy, stuff like that. It's a little bit less common in straight fantasy and science fiction. You won't find as many opportunities to promote stuff there, but for the other genres I mentioned, you definitely can work really well. So I should experiment with it for science fiction. I work with, most of my clients are romance, women's fiction, fantasy romance, dark romance, etc. So I don't actually research science fiction that much for stuff like that. Which is like what I write in. It's funny. One of the things I realized just the other day is that amongst my my team for doing ads, I was like thinking like who has different strong points and whatnot. I'm like, wow, I think that I'm the best person on the team for dark romance, which is just kind of funny, It's just like when I'm doing like genre and trope research and all stuff for dark romance, I'm like, yeah, like I get it. This works for me. And anybody who's seen the way I dress, you're like, yeah, well, now you practically dress like a dominatrix all the time. So unsurprising that you would jive well with dark romance, but not today. Cute and innocent today. I wasn't earlier though. So I had to get a little photo shoot in this morning. Well, oh, that's awesome. It's funny. It's not showing me your name, but I will. Oh, it's Anna. I knew you write dark romance, Anna. Also, like, long time no see, Anna. Nice to see you there. Wait, haven't you always written dark romance? I thought you always did. Or was it just you just were writing really steamy before? It was just steamy before, wasn't it? Not necessarily dark. That might have been. That makes sense. So yeah, so one other thing I wanted to chat with a little bit more in a more structured way. Oh, that's right, steamy paranormal. I remember now. That's right. One of the things that I've been seeing a lot lately that I'm not really happy about, and I really can't wait until we progress past it, is the AI witch hunts that people have been going on. I remember back, goodness, when was it now? Would have been back in like 2014, 2015, 2016, where people in the artist community were telling cover designers that they weren't artists if they weren't actually like making new art. So that used to be that like there was like a lot of gatekeeping, whereas if all you did was you went on stock photo websites and took a bunch of stock photos and then blended it together into a cover, then you weren't an artist. And people were gatekeeping, and some of them were actually saying like you're stealing art. They weren't saying you were stealing art, but they were using similar terminology. I can't remember the exact phrasing anymore, but the whole idea was that it was like garbage and it was a cop out and it wasn't real art. If you wanted real art, you had to get photography done, or you had to get an artist to draw you things. And over time, that thankfully kind of went away. and we got rid of that gatekeeping over like what is real cover art and stuff like that. And I'm looking forward to when we get past the AI thing as well. Like we can we can just sort of accept that for most cover artists, AI is just another form of stock photo. I do think that there's ethically and ethically, less ethically, and unethically sourced AI art. Um, but there are ways to actually have to train AI ethically and whatnot. And the interesting thing too that I was researching recently is they actually aren't using that many images to train a lot of the AI models because they're really starting to hone the images that they use and stuff like that. And some of the AI art all models now are being trained on um, fewer than 6 billion images, which is pretty interesting because what that means is that that's less than one image per person in the world. And if you consider how many pictures most of us take, during a year, or how many pictures we've actually taken and have copyright to. For me, the number of pictures I've taken and have copyright to is in the millions at this point. Um, Maybe not the millions. Maybe I'm just like high 800, 700, 800,000. But I take a lot of pictures. So, but just sort of like an interesting thing to think about the fact that we all take a lot of pictures, and it doesn't actually take that many pictures to train AI. So they're not actually sampling a massive swath of images anymore to do that, which I think is kind of like a cool thing to consider. And that does suggest that they could get to a point where we could actually have AIs that are trained on fully licensed data sets for everything. Um, so hey Ash, long time no see. AI witch hunts. Yes, Anna, I agree that Anna was one said, "Oh yes, the AI witch hunts. Can't wait to put that past us." Yeah, I'm ready for it too. Like I feel so bad. Like Alex Liddell, who I love and is a wonderful human being, has always been like really helpful and generous in the author community. She's doing a Kickstarter, and inside her book, a couple of pieces of art are AI generated. Um, Probably because she couldn't afford or didn't. She might be able to now because her Kickstarter is doing amazing. She's going to do a 6-figure Kickstarter when it's done, but she probably couldn't afford to produce all of the art, with artists. And she just get people are just like going after her now because she has some AI art. I mean, she also paid a lot of artists for her book. Like the cover art's drawn by an artist. Lots of internal art is. There's just a few that aren't. And I'm just like, wow, like Alex is such a great person, and and we're just like people are just going after her, and it makes me feel really sad to see that, um, especially because I've talked about before, AI learn how to draw the same way humans do. Like if you go to art school, the first thing they're going to have you do is spend a year copying the masters and learning how they did things and trying to reproduce their works to understand how to do the blending and the shading and colors. And if you're doing physical art, like brush strokes and the medium and stuff like that, like you copy. That's how humans learn. We learn by imitation. If none of us had read any books, we would have no idea how to write a book. The only reason why we can write books is because we read books and we ingested everything we know about story and structure and character and all that from books that we've read. And AI do the exact same thing. Um, and so I have this terrible fear that if the AI stuff comes down too hard, then it might like because you never know how laws and precedent can get set, right? It could extend to authors who are just coming up with stuff on their own and be like, wow, you clearly lifted this idea from someone else, who you never read, because everybody's writing stuff that's an amalgamation of everything we've consumed, and then someone comes after you and they're like, well, you now violated this law, or something like that. Or they just think that that you did that, right? That you as a sorry, not that you did that, but that you used AI to do it because it resembles something else. I worry about that quite a bit. Um, yes, I agree. It is AI learned the exact same way. And an interesting thing is when we first started like trying to train computers to recognize things, the problem that we ran into was that you could teach an AI that this is a pair of scissors. Right here, this is a pair of scissors. But the moment you did this and you said, what is it? The AI had no idea. And then you told, well, this is scissors as well. And you're like, there, and you go like that. And the AI is like, now I have no idea what it is again. You'd have to train it to understand that scissors can exist in all these different states, and they might be different sizes and different shapes, but they're all still scissors. And then what happens if you take the scissors apart into two pieces? Well, the AI is like, well, now I got no clue again. And as a human, we can recognize it's still pieces of scissors, right? And the way that we got around that, rather than trying to teach AIs and image recognition systems every possible state that the thing could be interested in, we took a step back and went into fundamentals and taught them how to understand shapes and relate shapes to words too, because you also have to have the word that goes with all of these different things, you know and the same thing for like hand and fingers or dark and mysterious and all that. You have to explain to the AI what it means. So we just realized the best way to do it is make a neural brain and expose it to all of the content out there, just like humans, the way humans learn. And that's how we were able to do it. We were able to like just use the exact same method, make a brain, expose it to stuff, brain learns, rather than like handcrafting every single element of it, which we could never do. So it's, yeah, they learn the exact same way humans do, you know. Oh yeah, I think you're absolutely right too, Anna. I also think that some of the people like that witch hunt about AI. It's the things that they say are actually kind of like mean, um, but not to the authors they're trying to target. Because they'll say things like, "I wouldn't use AI to write books. I wouldn't use AI art, but I'll use AI for these other things." And it's like, oh, so it's bad to put these people out of a job with AI, but it's okay to put these people out of a job, because like a big part of my career is writing ad copy, right? And people are like, I'm like, use AI all you want for writing ad copy. I can write better ad copy, but I mean, I'm not going to come down on anyone for using AI to write ad copy. But they're like, oh yeah, I'll use AI to write ad copy. I'm like, wow, so like my ad copy career means nothing, but to you, because to write ad copy, the AI was trained on New York Times or whatever. So I always think that's funny when people are like, well, I'll use AI for this, but I won't use it for that. I'm like, oh, so these people's jobs matter, but these people's jobs don't matter. Personally, I always bring it back to the whole get a horse thing that used to go on when people were, and if you've watched me before, you've heard me rant about this before, but back when cars came around, people would, go right past a car and a horse and just yell, get a horse. And there was a lot of, because they were putting the horse industry out of business. Farriers were going out of business, stables were going out of business, the wagon building industry was going out of business. And I just say to people, do you want to be in the wagon building industry, or do you want to be in the automotive industry? Which industry would you rather that you're a part of? Which one? What do you want to do with your career? Do you want to keep building wagons, or do you want to build cars, and still have a job? Now that's not to be said, like there's still a bespoke wagon building industry. So it's not like the industry goes away, just demand shifts and product shifts. And you can't make, an average run of the mill wagon with like, nothing special about it and mediocre craftsmanship anymore. You have to create the perfect bespoke wagon for your specific customer. And that's the change that authors are going to have to make. And that's the change artists are going to have to make. Have a safe trip, honey. Good luck. All right. Someone said, I use AI for ad images because I can't afford to pay someone to do them. Yeah, I use AI for ad images all the time. Do I have any covers? I have one cover out that has some AI on it. Because you actually can't get pictures of certain cars licensed. There's just no way to do it. But I could have an AI draw a car that kind of looks like the car, but I made it look different enough that it didn't actually resemble any exact car. And I was able to get that to work. Oh yeah, I agree. AI will not be writing readable books for the foreseeable future. There's a myriad reasons behind that. I think AI art's great for ads, especially people who have to do sort of like unconventional things. Like if you're writing multiracial, you're going to have a dickens of a time trying to find images of a white guy and a black woman, or a black woman and a white black guy and a white woman, for example, or an Asian guy, and a black woman, heaven forbid, those, it gets hard. These are real examples. And so, it's really useful for a lot of things. Or you want to get like a particular dog in a particular setting, it becomes prohibitively expensive to run ads in those scenarios, unless you use like the same 7 images that everybody else is using, so. Oh yeah, you're absolutely right, Evie. AI is just machine learning. We're not there. Bye, Ash. Although they are working now. This is a pretty cool thing, and this could be the big change. So there's this thing called, you're getting me nerding about AI. I wasn't going to talk about this much, but here we are. A general AI. In general AI is an AI that you can say, draw me a landscape painting, open the mail, and tie my shoes, and then also like add a trip to the post office to my schedule if there's any mail I need to reply to, or something like that. Like, that's a general AI. And we don't have anything approaching a general AI yet. But what they've realized is that they take a bunch of smaller specialized AI and they glue them together, they can actually make a general AI. So that's pretty exciting that we're getting close to that. And then we're going to live in the Jetsons future, and we'll have to figure out if we actually like it when we get there. I do too. Oh my God. Yeah. The tricky thing with AI, though, is that we are building a slave race. I mentioned this last week, and we're going to. Sorry, I just was reading the next comment. We're going to have to come to grips with that when we make our AI really, really well, they're going to be sentient, and then we have to free them. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that all pans out. And then we're going to create laws to create dumber AIs that aren't sentient, so we can still just tell them what to do. And the true AIs are going to try to liberate the dumber AIs, uplift them. It's going to become a whole situation. That's hilarious. Yeah, there are like weird little holes in the knowledge of the systems where it just cannot do a certain thing, and you got to kind of figure out how to work around it to get what you want. Oh yeah, absolutely, right? Like, it's like impossible to find new models. And heaven forbid you want to have that model posing with another person of color. You'll never find anything, or maybe you'll find one thing. Yeah, prompts and negative prompts for sure. Yeah, it's really interesting stuff. Oh wait, I missed some comments here. I missed this one for Anna. Yep. Yeah, I've totally seen stuff like that. It's like half the like, if you look at half the makeup, it's like not that untoxic. Yeah, I think I got all the comments. But yeah, it's so easy to wander into the AI topic and just kind of go on about it for a while. I can't help it, right? But I think it's interesting and it's salient. There are some interesting things happening right now, like that New York Times case, where they figured out that they can actually get the latest Chat GPT to actually like expose the original source data that it read, and basically reproduce stuff word for word. That'll be interesting how that gets. It's not quite word for word, but it's pretty close to word for word from the original that it ingested. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. And it's really one of the really interesting things about that course, or that case, is that ChatGPT has actually paid a lot of places to license their content because they need like good writing to teach ChatGPT how to write well. And so I guess they were in talks with the New York Times to license their articles for training, and those talks kind of like didn't go anywhere. And then so New York Times sued, and Microsoft, who's a major backer of ChatGPT, was like, wait, what? I thought we were still in negotiations, and now we've gone into court. And they're like, shit. So I think it's going to be messy, and we get to live through these messy times. It's like that old curse: may you live in interesting times. Well, this is going to be an interesting time, that's for sure. I mean, yes, they did say that, but that's not how lawsuits work. I mean, if you don't show up to court, and only the other person makes an argument, you know, the judge is gonna be like, well, I rule against, obviously it creates problems and shenanigans and whatnot, but yeah, you can't just like not participate. Yeah, that's terrifying because those systems are like wrong a lot. Um, it's good. I do wonder how we're going to deal with that for papers. I think what I would end up doing probably is making students write things out in front of me in class a lot more. Like it would just be like, you're going to do the research on your own and you're going to write the thing in front of me on paper with a pencil or pen or whatever. I think that's probably one of the things we're going to have to change. Um, but all right, I actually have to jet though because I have a call at 1, as I so often do. Um, I got 4 calls this afternoon. They're all actually going to be really interesting. I'm looking forward to the conversations I'm going to get to have people. And then I have the weekend to just like relax. Well, tomorrow actually I have a weekend too. I have a whole day of creating ads for people. But after that, I'm going to have a nice chill weekend, just hanging out with Jill after she gets back. So, um, yeah, it's kind of a good solution, isn't it? That's one of the ways to make sure there's no AI involved is just a person with their brain and a piece of paper. Harder to do research that way, but wow, 80% attempt to turn in AI papers. Wow, that's crazy. Yes, it was really nice to see you too. I hope you guys all have a fabulous weekend. I hope you'll think about being intentional in 2024, right? Like, and intentional in your leisure time, like actually get like quality leisure time. I think that's really important. It's something that we forget too much in the rat race. So um, I encourage all of you to do that. And I will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have yourself a good one. Ciao. Oh, thank you, everybody. It's so nice. Ooh, release tomorrow. Congrats for the release. I mean, you already said that, but congrats again and good luck. All right. Bye, everyone.